Hey, there we are, live again. Hey, everybody. It's me, William W.J.R. Parks, and my co author, Janelle Coberly, back again with Writing Raven Universe. We try to talk a little bit about our world, give tips to brand new writers who are trying to break into the whole writing genre or world. And we always like to get as many guests as we can on our show. Hopefully, we get their book out there, and maybe you'll like to follow this author and have a new world to read about. And today we have Peyton Weber. So, Peyton Weber, tell us a little bit about yourself and your book.
Okay, well, my name is Peyton Weber. I am 17 years old. I published my first book, Smoke and Ashes, which is a dark fantasy dystopian novel, um, when I was 15.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, I started writing it when I was 8, and I finished it, I think, when I was 12 and continued editing for the next few years. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's the editing part that gets me. I'm always nervous. It's like, okay, now we got to make it. We did the first draft. Now we got to fix it up. And editing is like one of the most important parts I know about books as far as getting it out there, because you definitely want to get it where it's nice and pretty and pristine. So, well, I know I'm always nervous about the editing part because when I get my books out there, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's the reviews going to say? Did I miss a typo? So, as far as your book is concerned, what genre is it? You
Dark
said
fantasy and dystopian.
dystopian. All right. And what is your characters and what are they? What's the kind of the plot of it?
Um, well, I don't want to give too much away, but basically, it takes place in a world that's like another dimension, kind of, and it follows these
Hmm.
two girls that find their way there, and basically, they are a part of a prophecy in which they have to overthrow the corrupt monarchy and like save the world from destruction, kind of, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not really
Okay,
good at
that's pretty
explaining
cool.
things. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Uh,
that's all right.
was there anything particular that gave you that idea? Did it just like float into your head, or like what happened to make you kind of start centering on this story and these characters?
Um, I honestly don't remember because, like I said, I was very young. I was, I think, 8 when I started writing it, and it definitely
Wow.
changed over the course of like the last 9 years. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They always do.
thankfully, they do.
Yeah. Now, do you study
Yeah.
or do you read a lot of books on writing, or do you study writing, or do you have a mentor or anything like that that helps you?
I do not. I don't read many books about writing. I have some of them, but I haven't exactly gotten into them yet.
Okay. What books do you use? Instructional books.
Um, well, I have Stephen King's On Writing,
Hmm.
and then
Mm.
Save the Cat Writes a Novel. I don't remember
Oh,
the
yeah,
first
that's a famous one.
one, obviously. That was a classic.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know I had a whole bunch of different books that because I started writing at a young age, but I didn't really start getting into the whole process of novel writing until I was, I guess, about 15 myself as well. 15, 16. And back then I was just writing everything on notebook paper, actually. And I hadn't really thought too much about reading reading other people's teachings on how to write. I kind of just went by the seat of my pants and just started writing the story. But mine had to do more with epic fantasies, like uh, what would it fall under, like Dungeons and Dragons, Dungeons and Dragons. So it has to do more like dragons, wizards, warriors, barbarians. I got all my inspiration off like Conan the Barbarian, and then of course playing the game Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know. I loved magic. I always loved magic, so that's what like one of my biggest things. Being able to throw a fireball or lightning or turning somebody into a toad or something like that. So, does your book revolve anything around magic?
Hmm.
Oh, good. Yeah.
What type of is it something like that with fireballs, lightning, or
Yeah.
more like okay, yeah. Um, as far as dystopians, I know that that's one of the biggest ones. I know me and Janelle are a little bit more of the older generation, and I wanted to get into the idea of like
Mhm.
kind of like your perspective from the younger age getting into the publishing world. What I guess is what do you think about the publishing world as it is right now as far as is it pretty hard to try to get into? Was it hard for you or did you just kind of go in there and I'm going to pick Kindle and I'm just going to put it in there, publish it in there? Did you have any kind of problems?
Um, I wouldn't say I had any problems. I mean, it was definitely daunting
Mm-hmm.
because, as a younger author, I'm not taken as seriously as some more
Mm.
experienced writers. So it wasn't a very difficult process. Because I'm self-published. So the um, publishing software that I used was pretty self-explanatory. It wasn't too difficult to understand. So
Okay.
Pretty
And that's what I
computer.
was kind of trying to get into. Do what?
I was asking her if she was pretty computer savvy. Do you know a lot about computers? You have problems because I don't. I can't. I have trouble running a computer, but
I
but
mean,
you must have grown up with
I did. I
yeah.
did. I grew up with this level of technology, so
Yeah,
I guess I would consider myself pretty.
yeah. You're pretty sharp, pretty aware of
Yeah.
what's going on, how to use it, and so on. See, back in
Yeah, it's
my
kind of
day,
interesting because yeah,
when
like,
I started,
I was going
we
to say
didn't
it's
have
pretty
computers. I'm sorry, Will.
interesting.
What'd you say?
Oh no, I was gonna say because that's what I was trying to look at is because it's kind of interesting, like there between the I guess age difference between you and Peyton is because she grew up in that idea was the technology. You didn't grow up with the technology. I'm in the middle, but I went to school for technology. I mean, that's my whole degree and certifications are in computers, so I don't have too much problems with computers as well, I guess. But yeah, that's what I was trying to get at is because I know that you're such a young author. I was wondering if how the perspective or your market perceived that idea, if you had any problems, like now that you went through self-publishing, do you still have that kind of? Do you think people still don't take you seriously as a young writer, or do you think you're still getting pretty good amount of fans out there as far as who you are at your age range?
um, I still think I'm not taken nearly as seriously as I'd like to, but I think I've gained a pretty decent following. I'm grateful for that, which
Yeah,
I didn't really expect.
that's
Yeah.
great.
Well, and that's good.
Great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. Yeah. So
Yeah, because I think that's like, oh, go ahead.
along your journey, um, what kind of did you learn certain techniques or tricks, or did anybody give you any advice on how to write your book, or are there certain techniques that you think new writers should learn or follow, or what
Um,
advice could you give a young new writer?
I would definitely, for anyone who's, um, just starting out with writing or wants to start writing but doesn't know how, I would definitely just say you should definitely start with an outline because that definitely helps. But also, just just write whatever you want. You can always go back and edit it later.
Yeah.
And the first draft is never going to be as good as the final product. So just just kind of like dump it all out and
Yeah. That's some good advice.
that is
Yeah.
exactly what I believe in. I know me and Janelle, every now and then we're co-authors, so every now and then we have a little bit of a difference of opinion there. But I believe in the same idea. It's like, look, I got my story, I got to get it out as soon as possible. It's going to be junk, but then I can go back and at least fix it. But I want to try to. Yeah. It was like Janelle I think has a different technique.
Yeah, I do.
I know she goes back. She keeps going back to the chapters. I've never been able to do that. I have to, what do you call it? I have to get the story out of my mind. I have to get it out quickly as possible because it keeps my interest. Because I don't know, I kind of see it like a movie. And I see him playing it out, and sometimes it's crazy because I'll go to bed and I'm still like, oh my gosh, this is what's happening. We're at the main fight scene. Cool. All right. So I picture it all in my mind, and then when I wake up, I got to be, okay, I got to write it all out, forget how it sounds. I might have like a typo, miss commas, grammars all over the place, but by the time I write it out, I try not to go back, because if I go back, that means I'm going to really get into my editing phase. And if I get into my editing phase, I'll stop there and I won't go to the next chapter. So I just like get it out all the way to the end of the story. Don't ever go back. And then when you're done, then go back. And I guess that's my first outline right there. It's just a jumble of ideas. And I mean, I still have like a point to the story, but I just want to get the story out. Yeah. Of course, might have a difference of opinion there. So
I just do it a little differently, but I don't do heavy editing when I go back. Sometimes I'll be writing something and I'll say to myself, well, wait a minute. Does that jive with something that I said in the chapter before, or how did I do that? So I'll have to go back maybe to make sure that I'm clear in the chapter that I'm writing, or something doesn't get messed up or mixed up or said or twice or whatever. So I don't do a lot of real heavy editing, but I do edit along the way. I'll go back and I'll start reading through a paragraph and I'll go, oh, yuck, that sounds horrible. And I'll rewrite the whole paragraph maybe, or I'll see a word and I'll say, no, there's got to be a better word than that. And I'll replace it and so on. So it's not real heavy editing that I do. But
yeah, I'll occasionally do stuff like that, especially when I'm like scrolling through my manuscript. Sometimes I'll go back and read certain scenes that I really enjoy and I'll catch something and I'll just fix it right there.
Right.
But I definitely leave the heavier editing to
the
actual editing phase.
Yeah, I do too. I don't do heavy editing. It's pretty light.
If I didn't need to do editing at all, that'd be awesome.
You wouldn't do any of it. You didn't have to.
I know. If I could just get it right the first time, that would be perfect. You know how many books I could get out?
If only it worked that way.
I know, right? She said, if only it worked that way. I was like, I wish I could just get my brain. It's like, all right, I got everything perfect on the first try. That's just wonderful. Weirdly enough, that's what I used to think about writers like Stephen King, Anne Rice, and all that. When I was way younger and I used to read books, I was like, dang, people are really good writers. And then I started figuring out, oh, wait, there's a team behind these people. Well, I don't know. I think Anne Rice said that she edited hers quite a bit. I don't know if I thought I had read an article which said that she hadn't used an editor for a couple of her books. I'm not sure if that's correct or not. But yeah, I don't know. So are you, what do they call this? There's plotters and what's the other word?
Right. Seat of your pants. Pen.
Pantsers, right? That's what Rose said, right? She called them pantsers. Yeah. So would you say you're a plotter or a pantser?
Definitely a plotter. I definitely have to have a very detailed
Oh,
outline that I strictly
yeah.
follow. I
Do you
sometimes go off
Okay.
of it, but like I usually stick to a very strict structure.
do
Okay.
that with
And
your characters as your plot,
Huh?
or do you do that technique with your characters as well as your plot? Is everything detailed? Um, your outline. Do you do an outline for everything? Like, do you do a character outline and
Oh yeah.
a plot outline
Hmm.
and what you want in what chapter and so on? And do you also write like little histories about your characters so that you know them before you actually put them in?
Yes.
So are you real detailed? Real
Mhm.
detailed. You do.
I need to have everything written out. Otherwise,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
huh.
Do you think that for young writers that's a good way to start, or how do you feel about that?
Um, I mean, everyone's process is going to be different. If they feel like that's a good place to start, I would definitely say go for it. It definitely works for me. But if they just kind of want to just like, I don't know, I don't know how to word this. I don't know. If they if they kind of just want to write without an outline, that's that's completely up to them. I do
Take
think
the
it definitely helps. It definitely makes things easier and
Okay.
more organized.
Okay. Good.
But I also don't blame anyone if they don't want to
hmm.
take the time to do that.
Yeah.
It's
Like you
just
said,
Yeah.
everybody does it
Mm.
differently. Like
Yeah.
us, fans do
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. I'm a complete. What did I call it? Pantsers. Yeah. I'm on the pantser side. I've tried outlining a couple of times. In fact, the story that me and Janelle are writing right now was Leonette and the Lobo brothers. I need to, and this is why it's so hard for me. I could technically keep writing the story right now, but because we're co-authoring, I want to be able to that both of us are on the same page. So I'm having to go in there and try to do an outline. And I don't know, it's so weird because it's so hard for me. It's like I don't know, like what do they call it? Like I don't know what they call that word, but it's like pulling nails or something. I forgot what they call it, but it's like pulling nails for me to try to get in there and do the outline first when I can go in there and just write the story. But in this instance, like I said, because we're co-authors, we need to be on the same page, and I got to go in there, and it's taken me a while to get in there.
Yeah.
And I think what
Well,
you're kind of on the 11th chapter right now, and I'm like,
as,
okay, I need to get in there and start writing.
as long as we kind of know what we want to happen each chapter, though, it's not too hard for us to follow. It's, as long as we know what's going to happen in what chapter. And then, I mean, we don't do any kind of real tight outlines or anything.
yeah, my outlines are very detailed. I think they're usually about 50 to 100 pages long.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
Like
wow,
strict
you are
Yeah.
detailed.
point by point. Yes, I need to be. Otherwise I can't write the story.
Yeah. That's good.
Oh wow, yeah. There was what was I watching? There was another show. I think it was Spilling Ink, um, where I was watching. Or was it Go Indie Now? I think. Anyway, one of those shows I was watching where they had the pantsers and they had the plotters, and they were going like, "All right, this is why plotters win, and this is why the pantsers win," and no. They're like back and forth on that. It was pretty interesting. Uh, I guess everybody does have their own process and stuff. I mean, like I've tried the outline thing, but I did have a detailed outline. I think Janelle remembers reading this a long time ago. I had a detailed outline with my epic universe of Solar, which, like I said, that was the one that has to do with high-end fantasy, like elves, dwarves, and all that.
You mean, are you talking about
The way I outlined all my
1,000
characters.
word? Are you talking about your 500,000
What?
word story? What was it
Well, it
called?
wasn't that particular one wasn't a story. That one was just yeah, it wasn't a story. It was more of a bibliography, I would suggest. I guess it had to do with the cities, the languages, the background and history of the world, and then the names and biographies of each character was in my city. So that one I did go very detailed on, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I would call it an outline. I just kind of created the world, and it was more of a
Yeah.
bibliography of people that existed was in that. And from there, we used to play like Dungeons and Dragons, and I created my world off of the people because I didn't really have to create the characters. The characters were kind of already created from the people that were playing the game. So I
Yeah.
have all these notes of all the games that we've played, and so eventually, I guess that would be my outline in the future when I start writing into that world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is,
Do you
of
have
course,
any?
speaking of worlds, I was going to ask you, Peyton, is Smoke and Ashes going to be like the first book in a series? Do you plan to
Yes.
evolve your world?
Yes.
Okay.
It is going to be, I believe, a 6-book series.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Now, have you read outlined everything for 6 books?
I haven't outlined them all, but I do have a general idea of what's going to happen in each of them.
Okay.
I'm working on the second one right now.
That's great. That's great. I was just going to ask you what you had in the works. So you're on your
Working on
second one. That's great. That's great. And you're going to continue your characters along through all of those series, that whole series. And then I imagine you'll bring in new characters as well. And then that's kind of like what Will did. And then he ended up with so many characters that we started branching off. One of the characters that I write about, her name is Leonette, and she's half angel, half human. And she came from his original book, Raven, Birth into Darkness. That was his original. And but now she's my girl. So.
Sarah Moss, I guess that's about how many books Sarah Moss did. It's about 6 books, which is the Throne of Glass series right there.
Yeah,
I'm barely
have that book on my bookshelf over there.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, really?
That's good.
I haven't read it yet, but
yeah. I noticed that as she started writing, the first books weren't as thick, and as soon as like I'm on the 5th book right now, and that thing is humongous.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I also
that's the Empire.
Empire of Storms.
Yeah.
Peyton, you were going to say.
Pretty cool book is finally they.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if this is true or not, but I think a friend told me that she also started writing when she was. I think she published her first book at 15 as well.
Oh wow! I think
I'm not sure if that's true or not, but.
Now, do you? Because she started writing so young and you did as well, do you talk to each other and give each other ideas or suggestions, or if you get stuck somewhere, do you call her up and say, hey, how do you use this material right here?
Sarah Moss?
Actually interact
Dude, if
with
she
her.
talked to Sarah Moss, that'd be awesome.
I wish I did. That would be amazing, but I don't. I'm not.
Yeah.
She has no idea who I am.
Like Greg Isles,
Dude,
he has no idea who I am either, but boy, I know who he is.
Yeah, I mean, there's like what R.L. Salvatore. I wish I could talk to him. That'd be awesome. And I think who'd I talk? I think I did have. You know what? I think maybe Jay from Spilling Ink actually did an interview with R.L. Salvatore. I think. I could be wrong. I'll need to ask him next time I'm in that show. Let me see. That was
Do you think, Peyton, do you think do you have a goal for this book that you're writing? Do you have a goal as to how soon you would like to publish, like within this year, or are you going to give yourself a couple of years to work on it, or?
I definitely would like to publish it within this year. I was planning to publish it within 2020, but then that was a rough year, so yeah. I kind of took a step back from that. So I'm really hoping to try to publish it this year, but it is currently at a standstill because I'm like lacking motivation at the moment. Also, school has been really difficult, especially with everything that's going on. So
do you take classes online at home, or how does that work for you?
For school, I'm in person, but we have to wear masks.
Oh, you are in session in school? Oh, I didn't know any of the schools were in session. I thought they were all still, online classes or whatever.
No, like here.
At the beginning of the year.
Yeah, here in Midland, it's everybody's back to school. California, I think,
And
is the only one where they're
yeah,
a little bit more strict over there. I think.
yeah, our schools aren't quite, they're not back in session yet.
Okay. Yeah, I think you got Sarah beat by a year. Yeah, her
Oh,
first fantasy was published at 16. Yeah,
oh, okay.
Huh?
there you
Yeah,
go. Just
yeah.
get your 6 books out there, and then you'll be maybe you'll be the like her, like yeah, I got mine
I don't
at
know. I don't
15.
know if I'll ever be as successful as her, but we'll
I know,
see.
right? We can always dream though, right? We can
Yes,
always
yes,
aim
we can. That's
Sure.
always the
for it.
goal.
That's why I'm hoping for at least.
Yeah.
One of these decades, maybe I'll make it. But like when you're, I know I think I'm having the same struggle with motivation, but mine is because I have what do you call it? Oh gosh, I got so many things going. Because everything I do has to deal with mental, with my brain. Basically, I have to sit in front and I code websites. Everything that has to do with photography. Once I do them, I have to go in there and edit them. So I sit in front of the computer doing that, and then when I'm not editing, I'm reading books in order to figure out how to do more investing and like for me like stocks and stuff. So everything has to do with me like sitting down, reading, doing all this stuff. And then when I go back into writing, it's weird because I have to switch from sometimes from logical coding of websites back into the what do you call it? Imagination of writing
Mhm.
books. So trying to switch back between that, sometimes I get like brain fog, and it's like, oh man, I really need to sit down and write. I just don't know how to do it because of trying to get the motivation. So, and you had mentioned that. So, do you find anything that might help you when you are not motivated to write? Do you ever find things that help you get back into motivation?
Um, not really. I've been lacking motivation for a very long time.
As
Hearing a bit of an echo.
oh, okay.
So yeah, I don't exactly have any methods that really help me get back into it. I kind of just have to force myself to sit down
Hmm.
and work, which also takes a lot of discipline, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I kind of find myself in that situation as well. Sometimes I just have to force myself to sit. I really, no, I guess I'm like where you are. I don't usually find too much motivation here and there. I mean, I could actually, like, I like movies. Back in the day when theaters were around, I used to like to go watch movies and hopefully get out of the house and try to get some ideas by watching movies. And usually that kind of amped me up because I'm more of an action writer. I like writing a lot of fighting scenes and going in there and writing about you know the scenes that are more action packed compared to scenes that are more I guess I would call them the romancy scenes. I guess like
Mm.
Will
I
has
don't know what I
trouble
would
with
call it,
romance.
more narrative. And yeah, I can't.
He's just a guy.
Romance is hard for me.
That's
I
right.
rather I rather do swords and magic and fighting. So
Me too, honestly.
no, but yeah, that's my whole idea right there is swords, magic, fighting. Let's do it. So I like Sarah Moss's stories. They're really cool. And the book I'm reading right now, she's finally getting into where, oh my God, what's her name? Anyway, the other witch lady, they're going to join
Which,
up eventually, finally.
wait, Peyton, do you have a
They have
favorite?
witches to
Do you have a favorite author? And if you do, have you learned anything from him or her um, that you apply to your own writing?
Um, I don't know. I really love a lot of different authors. The first one that really comes to mind is Jenna Moreci. Um, she's yeah, she like puts out her own YouTube advice videos about writing. So
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of like incorporated a lot of her advice into my own writing. I can't really think of a specific example because I've been watching her for a very long time.
Yeah.
I've also read all of her books, and they are amazing.
I learned by osmosis, huh? Well, that's good. That's good though that you have somebody you can follow and learn from, and even though they're not like somebody you can talk to every day or that type of a mentor, but you can still pick up different ideas and tips. That's great. That's great.
What was her name?
Her name was Jenna Moresi.
I watched so many.
And if you,
yeah, because I watch a lot of YouTube.
Yeah, if you like the dark fantasy kind of stuff, her books are really good.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
See, Amanda Hawking is a young writer. She's not in her teens, but she's young. She's not an old book.
Your character sucks. Sorry. That's interesting. All right. I think I'll subscribe to her just because. That's like catchy. That's what I need to do for our YouTube right there. I'm gonna put your characters suck.
Oh, God.
No, we're supposed to encourage new writers.
I wouldn't do that. That's not a good idea. Kind of the opposite of the goal.
Yeah.
Boy.
I'll subscribe to her channel and then I'm gonna go read her books. But let me see. So let's see here. I'm going to put your book up here. That way we can get an idea of what we're talking about. And there you go, folks. That's Smoke and Ashes.
Yes.
Peyton Weber, published when she was 15. That's quite an accomplishment. I was trying to publish when I was 15, but then, of course, that was hard for me back in the day. And I probably wasn't as good as writers you are with this one right here, because back then I would just like, I don't know, I just kind of threw everything down and was like, whatever, grammar. Who needs that?
That's definitely how I started.
Yeah.
The first draft of Smoke and Ashes was not outlined, and it was a mess. So
oh wow.
I had to basically rewrite it several times after I outlined it.
Yeah. Well, that happens. That's not unusual. So
yeah. So that's the sucky part though. It's like having to go back. I think I wrote Raven like rewrote her like 3 times, I think, by the time I was finally happy with it. And then I kind of changed every now and then, because I don't know if you ever flip through your book, like when you have it, I order the print versions and then I'll go in there and then I'll start marking with like pen. And then I'll say, okay, we definitely need to take that back out. And then I'll go back between Kindle and be like, okay, get the new updated one. And then I'll reorder it. And then I'll go back again. It's like, oh, darn it, I missed that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else does that. Do you ever find yourself doing that?
I've considered it. I definitely should. I haven't really flipped through my book much. Mostly I do it when I need to like make sure everything is consistent.
right.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in your second book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why I need to really detailed outlines and stuff, because I need to make sure everything is consistent.
Right. I was just going to say, you can always go back to your outline too. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you keep a bibliography?
I don't think so.
Yeah, like I know my website Raven Vampire. I was saying this is one of the things I say for like new writers is it's always good to keep a bibliography. It's kind of how you say you keep my notes and the details, but like I put them together and then like you have a whole notebook. Either some writers like to keep the whole notebook and it becomes a bibliography. Like your character has like blonde hair and blue eyes, and then by the time you get into the third book, was it blonde hair and blue eyes, or was it green green eyes, and dirty blonde. I can't remember.
I definitely should.
But yeah,
I definitely should do bibliography.
Yeah.
Every
It's one of the
outlines are separate.
Yeah, there's one thing that I found out that was a really good help. Yeah, because it does help, especially when like I know I'm a little bit more advanced with Janelle now because we got so many characters that I have to remember. Okay, well, what happened to her in this timeline, and what is her actual? I couldn't remember. Like Andrea, like is one of or Andrea is one of the girls that I first created, but I had to change it in Raven, my very first book, because I didn't remember that I had colored her eye or had written her with different eyes color. She had blue eyes, and then I remembered that wait a minute, when she get blue eyes? I always thought she had brown eyes, and I've been writing her with brown eyes. So I had to go back and remove anything that had to do with blue eyes.
Ooh.
I was like, man, I need to put her down in the bibliography. So I don't know, something I do. I don't know. I figured other writers might benefit from it when they have a bibliography. So keeps tabs of their characters that way.
That would be a good idea. It's also really difficult to keep up consistencies because I have so many ideas and projects that I want to work on and characters with different like appearances and personality aspects, and it ends up like blending together at times. So keeping track of all that is really difficult.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, we have so many characters, and trying to keep them separated and having them unique and their voices being unique. It's yeah, I always have to find a way in order to keep that separation.
Did you have trouble with that, Peyton, when you were writing your book? Did you have problems with your characters all sounding exactly the same?
Yes, definitely.
And how did you solve that problem?
Well, I basically just had to go back and rewrite a lot of the dialogue between some of the characters, especially my two main characters. My beta readers pointed out that they sounded really similar. So I had to go back and kind of, I even had to like tweak their personalities a little bit and kind of incorporate that into the dialogue more than I was.
Okay. That's a good tip, new writers. Listen to what she's saying. It's a good tip.
Beta readers too. So beta readers gave her a good tip. It's always good to have a good beta reader. They're actually going to tell you the truth, not like, it's so hard to find beta readers. Like I always say, look, I'd rather have a beta reader destroy my story, so that way when I publish it is not destroyed by the readership, because then I'll lose the readership.
Yeah, you have to be careful for your beta readers, because if you have someone that's real close to you or loves you or whatever, they're not going to say, oh, it's horrible, or I didn't understand it. They don't want to hurt your feelings, so they may not give you what you need from a beta reader.
And that's what I guess that's what one of my biggest concerns, finding beta readers that are going to tell me the truth. So I always tend to put them on websites where they're going to tear you up. What the heck were you writing over here? What is this?
Now, how many beta readers do you have?
To do with?
I haven't done the beta reader process for the second book yet, but for the first one, I think I had 15 to 20
beta readers.
Oh, wow.
All beta readers. Yeah. Why did you choose on so many?
Because, well, I've heard that some of them quit, and some of them didn't get back to me after I sent them the pages, so I had to keep a pretty large number so that I could
get somebody to get all the way through it.
Yeah, so that I got like quite a few responses and different perspectives and opinions.
Okay.
And how many? Did you get a pretty good? Oh, go ahead.
How many chapters do you have in your first book? There's.
I don't remember. I think around 24, maybe.
And your pages, you've got about what, 300 and something pages, or?
I think it was closer to 500 something.
Oh, was it that many? Oh, okay. All righty. I'm sorry, Will, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask her. Out of the beta readers, how many did you get that actually replied as far like the actual that gave you actual good feedback?
For the beta readers?
Hmm.
Um, Honestly, it was about like 6 or 7, maybe. Very few actually made it all the way through.
That's
Okay.
But
that's actually
I
pretty
got
good
some
though.
I got some pretty good advice though, so it was worth it.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah. I think that's
yeah,
really good. Yeah, because if
yeah,
I send mine out, I barely get like maybe one back or something, and I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. that's
I
that's really
mean,
good.
at least you got something.
yeah.
Yeah. I try to at least hopefully get one back, but yeah, that's why it's so hard for me. I'm really bad with beta readers. I'm not really
Me
sure
too.
how to. That's one thing that I've always had a problem with. I don't really know how to gather beta readers. Right now, we're kind of delving into like newsletters, and a lot of people suggest that doing newsletters is one way to kind of garner beta readers and figure out who really your fans are. So I'm gonna try that process right there. As far as people that I know and all that stuff, a lot of people I know, like personally, of course, don't read. Family and friends don't read that much. So, and like I said, it's kind of dangerous too because they might be not wanting to hurt your feelings.
Mhm.
So, and then other people that I've gone after might have been authors, but authors, it's really hard for me to find authors as well, and I don't blame them because we're all concerned with our stories.
Yeah,
So
we don't really have the
we're
time.
they don't read as much. Yeah, they don't read as much because either they're working or they're working on their stories or reading other um, authors higher than them in order to learn from them. So they don't really have time to read somebody from your level, I guess, in that sense. And so I really don't have very good turnaround from authors in that respect as well. So I don't know. I'm trying to see what other channels I can try to figure out where my beta readers come from. How did you get your beta readers? Was it through Instagram or just social media in
I
general?
think
Or
first time was through Twitter, but
okay,
I got most of them from there. And then I did start looking for beta readers for the second book, but I don't really use Twitter anymore, so I tried on there and I didn't really get many responses. I got a few on Instagram, and then I kind of just stopped because I wanted to go into another round of edits. So yeah, I mostly found the first one with the first one on Twitter.
Before you actually published, did you have a professional editor go through your book?
Mhm.
And is there anyone you recommend that you thought that you think is a good editor for a younger writer, a new writer? Or can you give the new writers any advice on finding an editor?
Um, Basically just do your research, and a few authors that I know have given me like suggestions um for professional editors.
Good, good.
So yeah, just like talk to maybe other writers who have already gone through that process
Yeah.
and get their feedback. I really hate that I can't remember what my editor's name was.
Was it an agency or was it just uh, a private editor or
I think it was just a private editor.
private editor? Okay. Okay.
freelance.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I know we're getting closer to the hour mark, so just to do like last questions here, Janelle, if you have any last questions.
Um, what would be your advice to a new writer? What would you tell them if they were sitting here saying to you, I don't know what to do?
um, I feel like this is like really common advice, but like write what you want to read. Like I feel authors should definitely be passionate about what they write. So if they, I feel like if they write something that they would like to read in another book, it's definitely easier to like gain that motivation. So like write what you enjoy reading. Don't write for other people. Write for yourself.
Right, for yourself. Thank you, Peyton. Thank you very much for joining us today, and thanks for your
having
good
me on.
excellent tips. Thank you. I hope you'll come back and join us again.
I would love to.
Good.
Yeah, good. I hope the interview wasn't as bad as you thought. So if everybody is wondering, is I mean, not bad, but like as scary or something. Like, I know you said it was your first interview, and so I just didn't want you to be. Yeah, so I didn't want you to be as nervous. So hopefully we didn't make it too bad there or too nerve wracking. Like I said, we're also starting out. So, yeah. But yeah, everybody. So we're getting here to the end, and I hope you enjoyed the video. So again, this is Writing Raven Universe, and you can actually find me and Janelle on Kindle on Amazon. We have both print and Kindle books on there. Just type in WJR Parks or Janelle Coberly. Peyton, where can people find you and your book?
Same, actually, on Amazon, under the name Peyton Weber. And
this is Smoke and Ashes, which will be a 6-book series. Mm-hmm. And that's where you can find her, Peyton Weber, on Amazon. Print and Kindle, correct?
Print and Kindle, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right.
And cool. All righty. Okay. Go ahead and also, is there any like writer's page or social media that you have where people might find you as well?
Oh yes, I am on Instagram under the username Peyton D Writer, and on Twitter, which I don't use very much, but if you'd like to follow me on there, I'm Peyton Weber.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. And
remember,
we'll see you.
Writers, just keep writing. Just keep writing.
Yes. For new writers, just keep writing, no matter what. Find that motivation